Okay, so does adding trucks grow revenue? And so what I want to show here is which truck types are actually generating a profit and, which ones are less profitable and maybe even, draining cash, and how a single decision of buying a truck can swing your revenue, six figures a year. Okay, so let's get started. What we need to do first here is we need to get the month column, and then we need to bring in all of these, and then we can create, when I say bring in, I mean, get all these values, which I'm going to show. And then we can create this line chart showing your profit per truck by month, and then also which truck type. And it makes perfect sense that, installation makes the most money here. And so what we can do to start is let's get the month here, and then you can type in just the word January and you can drag it down. And I might go a little bit fast. If I go too fast, just pause the video. I try to keep these videos under 15 minutes, and sometimes it takes a long time to sort of set these up, to set like the whole layout and the little data model up. Okay, so what we need here is we need the final invoice amount, and then we need labor costs, all your cogs. We don't need truck miles. We need the cost of fuel, maintenance, insurance, depreciation, and then overhead allocation. So if you copy that, and then you can paste it here, and then you have that. And so I'm going to show you how to do the first one, and then I'm going to sort of go a bit faster. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the total invoice amount for the month of January. So we need to sum the invoice amount if the month is January. So sum if S. And so the first range here is going to be the full invoice amount, comma, and then we want the month here, comma, and then we want to go like where the actual month is, right here in cell B3. Okay, so if you want to format this as a dollar, you can press Control Shift and the number 4, and then you can just remove the decimals. And then you can just double click to drag down. Okay, so we need to do essentially the exact same thing for all of these, and so I'll go sort of fast. So sum if S, so labor cost, and then comma, month. And I want to hit the F4 key to lock this, and I'll explain why in just a second. So comma here, and then January, and then a dollar sign before the letter. And so what that does, let me format this real quick. So what that does is this lets me drag across, and it keeps B3 the month, and it keeps the column B as well. And so we're going to want to drag this all the way over here and then down, because after permit fees, the next one is truck miles driven, but we don't want that. We want truck fuel cost. And truck fuel cost is right here in column Q. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this and change the sum range to Q. Here, and then again, Control Shift 4 to make it a formatted as currency, center it, and then paste here. And then what you can see after truck fuel cost, all the other costs are in the next column. So R, S, T, U are these right here. This, right? So maintenance, insurance, depreciation, overhead. So what we can do is we can just copy this and then paste, and you get everything by month organized. Okay, so from here, what we want next is we want total cost, which is just the sum of this, but we also want gross profit. And gross profit is not invoiced amount minus total cost, because these are not part of gross. You need job specific cost. Even though truck maintenance and things like that are still, that you could say the job is because of that, but it's not a direct cost to get your gross profit. Okay, so first we can get, total, say total cost, and it's just going to equal the sum of these here. Then again, you can copy and you can paste that down. Okay, so now what we want is we want our gross margin, which is going to equal invoice amount minus the sum of anything that's cogs. So these four, right? So 188. I'll show you another little trick. If you just highlight these two and press Control D, the formula will come down just to save you some time. I try to save as much time on this stuff. So yeah, so now we have gross profit of 188, 124 here, which is good, but now we need net profit, which is easier to get. So it's essentially your final invoice amount here minus your total cost. And again, I'll just highlight this and press Control D. And then we can, okay, so it's centered. So now we need like the number of trucks. So we want the number of trucks per month. Like maybe some months it was 10, maybe some months it was 12. And so we just need to know how many trucks were running that month. And the way we do that is we need to filter. So what we're going to do with the filter function is we want to filter anytime a truck ID where this month equals, I'm just going to type in B3. I think it's cell B3, and I'll explain. So essentially, everywhere you see January, we want a list of the trucks used. And this formula gives you the list, assuming B3 is the month. Let's see if that's right. Yeah. So B3 is the month. But the first problem you're going to see is that there's duplicates here. So we don't want duplicates. Like we don't want truck 10 here twice. We want a unique count of that. And so the way you do that is with the unique function. And now you have a unique list of 14. But we don't want the actual list. We just want the count. We want the number 14 in that cell. So then we can do the math. And the way you can do that is with count A. And then again, just copy that, paste it down. It just so happens in this data set, every month had 14 trucks. So you can do profit per truck. And that's super easy, equals this divided by this. And then you can just double click and then it'll go down. Okay, so now we have that. So what we can do here is we can create the simple line chart. We can create this simple line chart here, which is just profit per truck. And so the way you do that is just highlight the month here, all of it, including the word month, and then go over here and hold down the control key and then highlight profit per truck, including the title. And then you can just go to insert, recommended charts, and then the line is right there. And we'll just make it dark. And then to remove the zeros here, you can either do it from the data set here. So now the zeros are removed, or you can double click here. And then if you double click here and then go to the little line chart and then number and then just make this 0, but it's already 0. Okay, so that does that. The next thing we need to do is, let me zoom out quite a bit here. So we have this, and I'll make it a little bit narrow. And let me just add the values. Click the crosshair, go to data labels. And you can see that here. If you want to make them a little bit bigger, you can do that as well. Bold, and then let's make it white. Okay, so the next thing is we want to create this other chart, which is just, this is an annual amount. So the full invoice, the total cost, right? The gross profit, the net profit, how many trucks, and then profit per truck. And so the way we're going to do this is we need to go into the data set. We don't have to, but I mean, you could redo all of this if you wanted to, but just to make it easier, I'm going to do the gross margin and the net profit. We can call it net margin because net profit, we don't have taxes. Or we do have taxes, there's not in the data set. Okay, so let's go to the data. And then if you look at total cost, it's just the sum of everything except the miles driven in the drive hours, because like that's not a cost, right? Like you multiply those things. So that's total cost. Again, just pause the video if you'd like to get this formula, but it equals the sum of this plus the sum of this. And then gross profit is going to be the final invoice amount minus the sum of the COGS, which is what that is. And then net profit is just going to be final invoice minus total cost. And so what we're going to do is let's just do these two. So we want to get, I'll just copy this over. I'll copy this right here is fine. And then we want to get the type of truck. And if you remember before, we did the unique function over here on the filter for the number of trucks. So we want to get the unique list of the truck type here. So you can just highlight that, press Control C, and then Control Shift V, and that will give you, that'll remove the formulas. All right, so it's the same thing, and I'm going to go a little bit faster, but it's the sum if s just like before. So sum if s, the difference this time is we're going to use the full invoice amount, but the difference is instead of on the month, we're going to do it on the truck type. Comma, and then we want to do the truck type, and then again, Control Shift and the number 4 to get a $sign, to get it formatted as currency, and then you can press Alt HAC to center it, then you can copy and paste it down. So we're going to do the same exact thing for total cost. So sum if s, total cost, comma, insult or truck type, comma, and then here, again, going sort of fast, but you get the gist of it. Okay, so gross profit, same thing. Sum if s, gross profit over here, comma, back over here, truck type, comma, and then install truck. Then again, Control Shift 4, remove the decimals, center, copy, paste. Okay, and so net profit, we can just calculate here. It's just invoice amount minus gross profit, or minus total cost, sorry, equals invoice amount minus total cost. Copy, paste. You can center. And now we need to do the truck count, just like we did up here. So equals filter. We want to filter the truck ID where the truck type equals this. And you get a list of everything. You can sort of see there's not as many trucks here, just because you can see the numbers up to 6. But now we want unique. And now you can see there's only 3 types. And so we want the number 3 there. So count A, and then copy, paste, and then finally net profit divided by truck count. And that is how you do that. Again, I know I go super fast, but I got to keep these videos under 15 minutes, and we're at 12 and almost 13 minutes here. Because at 15 minutes, I can't upload them to LinkedIn. Okay, so the final thing is just highlight, just like before. Highlight this, hold down the Control key, highlight the profit per truck, insert recommended, and you can do either one. You know, maybe you like this type of chart, you like a clustered bar, clustered column, however you like it. And then I will make it dark like this. And you can see, you know, there's a pretty big variance. And so we can do profit per truck by truck type. And then let's maybe add some labels, and we can increase these, make it bold, make it white. Okay, so that is how you create those 2 charts. And if you want to do conditional formatting, you just highlight the range, go to conditional formatting, highlight cells, color scales, and then so green is high, and then for these other ones, you're going to want red as the high number, red, because those are cost. And that is how you recreate all of this. And so if you have any questions, just let me know. You can shoot me an email, questions@databoards.io. I know I go super fast on these sometimes, but it takes 15 minutes just to set this stuff up sometimes. But yeah, so that's all I got for this one. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want this file, the link to download is in the description. And if you can't find it, again, shoot me an email. Just let me know the name of the video in the email, so I can send you over the right file. And if you have data and you need another set of eyes on it, you can again shoot me an email, or there's a form in the description. But that's all I got for this one, and I will see you in future videos.